All right, so you're at the Senior Bowl. Get it out of the way. So you were at the Senior Bowl. The kid. Okay, I know this doesn't have anything to do with the Patriots, but it is fascinating with the quarterbacks that are available. And the kid from Ole Miss, Jackson Dart, is that the kid's name?
Yeah.
He played at the Senior Bowl. What are you hearing about the quality of this quarterback class and the likelihood that both Sanders and Ward will be taken like in the top 3?
Yeah, I don't know if those two guys go top 3. I think Ward will. I'm not sure about Sanders. He's sort of more of a polarizing guy that, you talk to people and they think he's more of a second-round pick, but how the quarterbacks get valued and overvalued, so he'll end up in the first round somewhere and probably in the top 10 when all's said and done. I didn't think Jackson Dart did much this week, and I was there, and I'm reading the tweets from other people that were there, and I'm saying his representation must be really good, because there were some people that were giving him a full body massage, and I don't think that he warranted that. I mean, he was fine, but he's not a first round quarterback to me, and I don't think anybody else that was there is even close to that grade.
It's funny because that's what I was reading too, is that he won the Senior Bowl. Is that Jackson Dart won the Senior Bowl, and it's interesting. So you didn't see much about him. He didn't impress you. But then on the other hand, people are saying there's no quarterbacks in this draft. So if you're the Patriots and you're sitting at 4, you got to be rooting for 2 quarterbacks to get taken. But what are you hearing in terms of elite talent in this draft? Like, is there elite talent in this draft? Is there more than one elite talent in this draft? What are you hearing?
I'm hearing like between 4 to 6 blue chippers, which, depending on who you talk to, like you'll hear the name Mason Graham quite a bit. He was not at the Senior Bowl, defensive tackle from Michigan, really good football player, but his athleticism is not like someone say of like Quinnen Williams, who obviously well, Fred, with the Jets, he's just a dominant force. Mason Graham projects out to be a really good player for a really long time, but his ceiling isn't this guy that's going to be a double-digit sack guy or something of that nature. So he's sort of one of those guys that sort of rides the line when you start talking about 4 or beyond in terms of elite level prospects. The strength in the draft, once again, is between like 20 and 60, 20 and 65, and it's in positions like tight end, running back, which there's a million running backs in this draft, like legitimately actually probably could be the best position group in the entire draft, and defensive line, where even the best of the defensive line guys aren't top 5, 6 guys other than Abdul Carter.
So go ahead. I'm sorry, Hardy.
Well, you mentioned in that 20 to 65 sweet spot for it, one of the guys that you mentioned and we heard talked about last week was Gray Zabel, the offensive lineman. Where's he from? North Dakota?
North Dakota State.
North Dakota State, right. I mean, it's not an answer for what the Patriots need at left tackle, but could you envision them if they don't have somebody at 4 that immediately slides into that spot, trying to piece something together on the offensive line with late first round, second round, even third round guys, and somebody like that kind of graded out the same way Zabel did?
Well, so like Will Campbell from LSU is also not there. He's the left tackle from LSU, started for the day he walked in on campus. He's going to have shorter arms. How short are the arms? We'll find out at Scouting Combine. I was looking back at Mike Vrabel's history in Tennessee, and he had Taylor Lewan, who was like almost 35-inch arms lengthwise. Campbell's probably going to be around 32 and change, maybe 33 if he's lucky. So, like, is that something that he's willing to do? Is that something that they look at Campbell's feet and say, like, no, he's just a guy and he'll figure it out? The Titans drafted Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern a couple years ago. Skoronski was a tackle at Northwestern, has the feet to play tackle. Tennessee moved him inside. He plays guard. He's a really good guard for them. In his second year, he's borderline Pro Bowl type caliber player. So there's that part of it. I would say Zabel is an interior offensive lineman who's going to start for somebody from day one. Like the track that he was on this week, his tape is awesome at North Dakota State. And when you look at the Patriots, Hardy, they need 3 offensive linemen to start for them.
Yeah.
And maybe 4, honestly. Like, and I just say this with David Andrews, like, he's a terrific player. He's a little older. He's coming off an injury. Where does he fit into the new regime's idea of how they want to go forward? I would think that he has a place here, but until he gets out there and starts doing it again, you just don't know. So Zabel could be ready-made to either be one of the guards or, if David's not back or not back in the manner they want, as the center.
But they need, Mike, they need at least one wide receiver, probably two, and maybe three. What did you see in Mobile that would help the Patriots out?
Yeah, I'd still like to nuke that entire room that they had last year. So I'm with you. Like, between free agency and the draft, you got to go into that position. Probably the best guy. Well, the guy who had the best week was Jack Bech, who Freddie was talking about, who had the game-winning touchdown. His brother was tragically killed in New Orleans about a month ago. He had an awesome week. He's 6'1", he's 215. He's more of, like, to me, he's like a power slot. You heard a lot of the comparisons to Puka Nacua. That might be a little bit too much. I mean, Puka, what he's done the first 2 years of his career has been pretty terrific. But this guy sort of has the same mentality. He's physical. He'll run through you. He likes to block, those sorts of things. He had a really good week. He made himself a day 2 pick, no question. Jaden Higgins is the other guy in terms of, like, if you're looking for that sort of the outside guy from Iowa State. He had a better week as the week went on and had a good game. There are a lot of little slot types. Jalen Noel, another Iowa State guy that might fit the bill. And it appears that we're going to be seeing a full-on Josh McDaniels offense, not a sort of a bastardization of it. So, that could mean that they have a place for a smaller slot. So he might be someone to consider as well. But it's not an awesome, like, again, this is not the best draft to have a top 5 pick. There's no Jamar Chase. There's no Justin Jefferson. There's no Malik Neighbors. All those guys that we saw, Marvin Harrison Jr. This draft is not that.
Well, what about that guy McMillan from Arizona?
I don't love him. I know some people do. I think he's a top 10 guy. I just don't think he's the guy you pick at 4. That's just my intel from it so far.
Bad idea, Wallach.
Apparently.
Yeah, Wallach, that idea stinks.
Yeah.
Idiot.
I mean, watch the tape.
Try and make the best of our time with Giardi.
Don't ask him. Yeah. God.
Don't ask him dumb stuff like that.
It is so nice to have you back. It really is.
You still suck, by the way.
Every week he'd come in, he'd leave that note. Wallach, you suck.
Yeah, well, he has to do it verbally over the phone.
I understand.
All right, so Mike, we didn't talk to you. What have you made about the coaching hires and the staff that Vrabel's put together?
So there'll be a big story coming out on Boston Sports Journal from my boss later today, which alleviated mostly his fears. I still have some concerns about the construction of. There's just not a lot of Josh guys on the staff, and we just lived this 2 years ago when Bill Belichick hired Bill O'Brien and let him have one coach. And we saw how that worked. And look, there were a million things wrong with that team. So that's not the only reason it went sideways. But it feels like when you make a move like this and you're trying to surround your franchise quarterback or what you hope is your franchise quarterback, you'd like to have more guys that have experience with Josh and see it the way that Josh does. So, like I said, there'll be a story out that if you're into it, you'll read it and you'll feel a little bit better. I mean, I felt a little bit better. I got a call on Friday about the same thing because I'd been expressing reservations. And again, alleviated some of my concerns, but not fully. Like, I still would like more Josh guys on the staff, and it's pretty much at this point, it's filled out. So, we'll see. Josh is the right guy for Drake, especially at this point, and it's the right guy for this team in the direction that they've gone in the last couple of years to sort of like refine their footing and raise their floor. We'll see what the ceiling is, and I think a part of that will have to do with obviously Drake's development, but the other part will have to do with, do these coaches all see it the same way? Can they all get, if Josh's message isn't getting through, can someone translate it to the guy that's not getting it, and can they push forward that way? So I'm just curious to see how that works.
All right, well, listen, we'll see what they do in free agency. It's a shame that they have the 4th pick in this garbage draft. And I wonder if they had the first pick, if there would even be movement. Like, you know what? I had been saying that before.
There would be movement. That win at the end of the season made the return for the pick they got, went from like an A+ to a C- or a D. No one's going to trade up to 4.
Do you think, Mike, that if the Patriots had the first pick in the draft, it's a guarantee that someone would have traded up?
Yeah, because you know what they would have done? I think they would have done is they would have said whether it's Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter would be probably the most likely 2 guys that someone would want to come up and get, that they would be able to get something, whether that's one additional first-round pick. But in terms of like the haul that that Carolina gave to Chicago a couple years ago for the Bryce Young pick. Like, I thought that was crazy to begin with because I think a lot of people weren't looking at the overall talent in the draft, and it's really driven by what's up there. And these guys are good. A couple of these guys could be great, but it's not, the quarterback drives the whole thing. And I don't think anyone is giving up the farm for Cam Ward.
Right. So you even think if someone traded up, it would be for Abdul Carter, like it would be, or Travis Hunter. It would be for not even for a quarterback.
I mean, I think they're the two best players in the draft. I don't even think it's all that close. I think Carter is going to have to answer some personality questions, like just not like he doesn't have any awful stuff off the field. It's just I've heard some talk about his personality, and like you're going to have to be comfortable with that part of it. And obviously, Hunter is. What position does he want to play? Because you may look at him and say he's a cornerback all day, every day. And he may say, yeah, but the real money's at wide receiver. And that's what I want to do. So you're going to have that question. But I think those are the two guys that would really kind of move the needle in this draft.
All right, Mike. Thank you so much, Mike Giardi. Read him in Boston Sports Journal. We appreciate having you back.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.